Trisha's proving herself to be a fucking liar once again. So I saw she said on Twitter that she still has this voice note of me convincing her of a whole bunch of shit or whatever. In her video right after the podcast, which by the way was mega disrespectful, that she made 2 videos calling me a liar after she came on my podcast. But whatever. Anyway, in that video, she says that she actually doesn't have the voice note. If she has it, great, so do I. I show it in my content too. So, either way, you're gonna hear the fucking voice note, right? What a confusing person. Give you a quick breakdown of Trisha's manipulation and weird obsession with me and lies. So she wouldn't stop talking about me online, as you've all seen. So I invited her on my podcast to try to squash the beef. She got upset with me because I wouldn't talk about Shane Dawson on camera and the other people that we talked about off of camera, because I told her I didn't want the podcast to be drama. I wanted it to be us about us squashing beef. And then she sent me all these messages about how she doesn't care how the podcast turns out. She's just happy the drama's behind us. And then people started laying into her because she was being really condescending and gaslighting me on camera, and everybody saw it. And then she got triggered and made 2 videos calling me a liar again. And here we are. She's once again inserting herself into my life again. So I'm just going to show everything. I'm showing all of our relationship from 2016 to 2021 because it's there and I'm not crazy. She's a liar. I'm really excited about the series.
To me, like I said, I view you as drama. Maybe that's not how you want to view or whatever, but that's hot. And I like that. I think it's interesting. To me, it's a good thing. I'm like, oh, she's being talked about. Right.
Yeah. Okay, I just went to the bathroom. Bathroom break, Trisha unlocked. I am seeing a ton of GABBIE comments, and it is really, truly nothing personal, but I've had her block for my own sanity and peace for myself since we did the podcast. I've been saying, and I'll continue to say this, that I wish her truly well. She seemed in a great spot when we did the podcast. She told me she had a recording contract and, Peyton was lovely and stable and her house was beautiful. I've told her that I enjoyed her music, Out Loud and Butterflies. She has a really interesting take on art and poetry. She's just a unique person out on the internet. All I was doing this week was trying to be her cheerleader of getting her a redemption arc. I wanted to see her thrive, and I felt like she just took huge steps backwards by being so defensive over things that didn't matter. And she could be such a powerful voice for things that do matter. So I obviously have heard some of the things she said just from going on my TikTok page and my Twitter. And obviously she hasn't been the nicest to me, but I'm just going to give her the benefit of the doubt that she's going through something. I, of all people, understand that more than anybody. But I guess she called me fake because I said I wanted to just squash the beef. And that's why I went to the podcast. It just cannot be squashed. I'm not being fake. Me and GABBIE do not vibe. She is delusional. She spent the majority of the podcast trying to convince me that we were really close friends, and it was super awkward because, 1, I don't have a lot of close friends, but 2, it definitely wasn't GABBIE. She brought up tweets from so long ago that there was one that I didn't remember, and then she's like, see, we are best friends. And I'm like, what? I apologized to her on the podcast. I was like, I don't want friends. I don't have friends. She said I was lying about the voice memo, but these are the voice memos. I will 1,000% delete these TikToks in the morning, so just do with them what you will now. I don't want to go back and forth with someone who is delusional about the relationship between us. She's very clearly going through a manic episode when last night she tweeted that I was her bestie and I gave her great advice on the podcast and she was going to listen to it, which I thought great. To today, just, I guess, saying horrible things. I literally can't watch it because it will trigger me and I don't want to get triggered, and people know that I'm triggered easily. But here are the voice memos. On the podcast, she said that I invited her to Thanksgiving with my family, which I don't do with anyone because it's just my dad and my stepmom and my Uncle Joe, who had passed away last year. That's been my Thanksgiving for the past 20 years. But she spent the majority of that podcast trying to convince me that I invited her to Thanksgiving. I told her that that did not happen. She accused me of gaslighting her. I said I was trying to be respectful in her house and not argue with her. She said that was gaslighting. All right, part 3 will be the voice memo, sorry. She's saying this is all part of a show and she's doing this for attention or something. And if that's the case and that's the route she wants to go, I'm not going to judge her for that. But she's calling me a liar and stuff. Here's the voice memos. The next day, she sent these to me.
Oh, and I also wanted to quickly say the things that I was wrong about because since I couldn't sleep last night, this was all I was thinking about. I just was kind of checking for myself. Something I was wrong about was like, we definitely did not have Thanksgiving plans. Like, I went back and looked at that, and I definitely inflated that in my head, where it was more just like, I think you were spending Thanksgiving with Sean's family. And I said, none of my friends were in town. You're like, oh my God, I wish I knew. I would have just like stayed home and we could have eaten together.
So that's when I knew I just wanted to distance myself from her. We weren't friends, and I don't know what else to say. She was just trying to convince me we were, and I was just like, but we weren't. And then she's like, I saw it different, and I was like, okay. If this is true, then good for her. You know, she got trending, and if this is the reputation she wants, or she wants to troll, or, you know, that's fine by her. I think my issue is when she starts calling people names and being really manic online because people are genuinely concerned for her. She calls me fake because I did want to squash the beef, but I couldn't get past her delusions. She said she edited the podcast for me, but I had no edits for her. I told her she could post whatever. She could post the whole thing. I didn't care. Like I said, well, me and Gabbie don't see eye to eye and we just do not click. I still think she's a good creator. I still think she is unique enough and driven enough. She's obviously successful that I want to see her succeed. I did enjoy watching Gabbie's content, but seeing her attack everybody is like so sad. Okay, I'm gonna go back to regular TikTok soon. Just know that I really want everyone to find peace of mind because I know what it's like to have a mental breakdown. I know what it's like to be manic constantly, and it's really frustrating, and it's really difficult. It's literally like being a prisoner in your own head, and sometimes you think you've gone too far, so you just want to keep going and keep up the facade, or then you want to change the narrative in some way, and I know how that works. I still struggle. I'm struggling with voices in my head, you know? I think the bottom line is like seek help to anybody. Now, I'm not just talking directly to Gabbie. There's no shame in seeking help. I go to therapy 3 times a week, 2 individual and 1 group class because I genuinely need it. I was so tired of the highs and lows, the ups and downs, using the internet and social media as my therapist. It wasn't healthy. So there's no shame in getting help. In fact, people who seek therapists, even above normal people, probably have it more together. Elevate your life, do it for you. Seek therapy.